Welcome to the Daily Digital Download for Friday, June 12th. What a time to be alive, huh? We just saw today the IPO of SpaceX. How could I not mention it? It's not a crypto thing. It's not a blockchain thing, but it is a thing. All right, let's add the old link to the TL. Let's also delete some of these. There we go. Post it. Boom. Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, so first of all, I love the Coinbase letter. Give them a follow if you haven't yet. SpaceX is now the 7th most valuable public company in the world, worth $2.19 trillion. Let's create a crypto tie to why I'm talking about this right now. One of the reasons we can say that Bitcoin has been down the past week or so, and maybe other crypto assets and blockchain products are trending downwards over the past couple weeks. One of the reasons that people are saying, I'm not sure how much I really believe this, is that there was a lot of funds taken out of risk-on assets to allocate into the SpaceX IPO. So one of the people were selling Bitcoin to buy SpaceX. That is one hypothesis as to why the crypto markets were down bad over the past week or so. That being said, look, space is the next frontier, and SpaceX is an incredibly exciting sounding project. What a forward-thinking thing to be invested in. And I just can't think of something cooler than owning a company that wants to go out into space. That's all there is to it. So hopefully we can see this. This is just SpaceX too. There's still some other IPOs that are coming out this year. Anthropic, I think Grok. I want to say Grok. I might be wrong. OpenAI. And so if we follow the same trend that we saw with SpaceX and rhyme it, because history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and apply the pattern to blockchain still, there's still a few IPOs that might extract liquidity out of the blockchain space. So I don't think we're quite out of the danger zone yet. Today, I really only want to highlight 5 pieces of news. 4 of them are really worth it. One of them is just to remind you of where we've come from and what we should never be again as an asset class, as an industry, as a group of builders. But today, I actually just finished doing the crypto coffee and blockchain beer that I do every Friday, which is more holistic, less 24-hour type news. And today's trend was the emerging themes that are happening with the overlap of crypto, blockchain, and AI this year. So go give that a listen here. If you haven't yet, you can just go to my personal page, and you can see the rip that we did this morning. And on cue, Coinbase has launched Coinbase for Agents, which sets up dedicated accounts for AI bots to trade and pay for users. So this will be able to create accounts and sub-accounts for AI agents using Coinbase for Agents, where the agents will get seamless access to trading, managing money, and making payments without users having to manually fund separate wallets. And users will be able to use natural language to direct their bots to act on their behalf to pursue recurring strategies like rebalancing their portfolios on a weekly basis, as an example. The bots will be able to conduct market research for users as well and can be programmed to trade based on a particular thesis on an active or passive basis. I think this was kind of the pipe dream for folks who were wanting to have their agents come on chain, have an agent manage your wallet according to sentiment analysis. And hey, My buddy Brian at Pistachio has built an agent that does just this. I'll have to ping him and see how his product is doing and see if it's been crushing it or not over the past month or two. And payments is also a big driver for Coinbase for Agents, which will offer built-in support for X402, the open AI payment standard incubated by Coinbase that is now managed or housed by the Linux Foundation, which is used to power machine-to-machine transactions. According to previous reporting from The Block, I love The Block. I use you guys every day for the daily digital download. Over 10,000 online merchants have integrated X402, providing an alternative route for AI agents to access paid tools and content on a per-use basis. And X402 supports stablecoin alongside every other major platform, payment rail like cards and ACH. Yeah, I mean, this is just furthering what the number one killer trend is in 2026, agents being used for on-chain transactions and to pay for things. We covered yesterday MasterCard and Visa, talking about the tooling that they're releasing for AI agents to use their networks. So this is kind of an arms race between on-chain agentic solutions and integrating solutions in modern monetary financial rails. But also MasterCard and Visa are integrating tokenization and stablecoins as well. So we haven't lost. We've won, folks. It's just winning looks weird. Moving on. AI buildout weighs on Bitcoin demand. I mean, this is also another trend that I was talking about this morning, where the blockchain and crypto space in general is just losing brain power and funding to AI. There's a brain drain going on, and there's funding that is not going into Bitcoin and crypto products and projects because it's going into AI. And this isn't just me speculating on this and guessing and saying, that I'm mad that this is happening. We're at a 5-year low for VC investment into blockchain and crypto projects. So this is a very real trend. And I'm actually going to be interviewing somebody for the Smart Economy podcast from Ethereal Ventures at the top of the hour. So I have to rush through this quickly. And Ethereal Ventures is a VC entity. And this is one of the threads, the themes that I can't wait to pull on, to talk with a VC about what investing is like in 2026 into early and seed stage companies. And currently, the Bitcoin bear market is losing its liquidity, which is being absorbed to AI investments, according to Julian Lineger, co-founder and CEO of Swiss Bitcoin brokerage Relai. And he still expects that there's going to be capital rotating out of Bitcoin into AI, but that the AI cycle is starting to slow. And really, I don't think we see the peak of the AI cycle until we're done with the 3 major AI companies here in the States, the frontier companies, doing their ICOs, particularly Anthropic and OpenAI. Once those IPOs are done, sorry, I said ICO earlier. Once those IPOs are done, the hype because we're already seeing that each model that is released isn't necessarily that great. How much better is Opus 4.8 from 4.6? Honestly, not much better. Opus is worse. Each model release has gotten worse since 4.5. And we're just starting to see a slowdown in the kind of leg up from each AI technology deliverable. And I also think that once we're done with the IPOs, we're going to lose this kind of market froth and narrative for AI. And that is indeed when Julian Lineger believes that capital will start slowly coming back into crypto. And I'm just going to throw in blockchain projects and Bitcoin in general. SpaceX's IPO went live today. There's still Anthropic and AI, so there's still a little bit of room for AI love and for our bags to get heavier. Lineker said, all the liquidity is being sucked up by this AI hype. People need to sell something for it, and it's Bitcoin and most other assets. What will happen is the AI hype will slow down. The money will be used to pay to build out the whole AI industry this year and next year, and then there will be a lot of productivity gains through that. A lot of people will make a lot of money with a return on these investments, and then that money will flow naturally into Bitcoin. Relai is a Bitcoin-only self-custodial app based in Switzerland. So it's nice to see a Bitcoin-only builder with this thesis that liquidity will eventually come back into crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin, particularly over the next year or two when there's been a lot of capital gains made from AI. Sticking with Bitcoin and the diminished price, because that is what we saw this week. Nothing but diminished prices. The debasement trade for Bitcoin and gold is, I don't like this headline. Debasement trade retreat has accelerated for Bitcoin. All this is saying is that the debasement trade, which was what a lot of people were talking about earlier this year, the debasement trade this is a great, I'll just cover it right here. Refers to investor demand for Bitcoin and gold driven by concerns including geopolitical uncertainty, persistent inflation, rising government debt, weakening confidence in fiat currencies, and diversification away from the US dollar. I don't see why today the debasement trade is slowing down. There's a ton of geopolitical uncertainty. Inflation continues to rise. The United States government continues to be further and further into debt. I don't understand why anybody has any faith in fiat currencies. And the US dollar is among the first, it is the biggest that when it collapses, the world will hurt. The average lifespan for every fiat currency that has ever been created is 27 years, and the US dollar is well beyond that since we've gone off the gold standard in 1971. But markets are irrational, and they can remain irrational longer than the investor can remain solvent. So today we're seeing the debasement trade kind of shift away from market sentiment, and it clearly looks like everybody's super hyped on AI. Look at the SpaceX IPO that went live today. It's already up 24% in the first day of trading. And gold ETFs saw $20 billion in outflows in the week through June 5th. My God, $20 billion. While Bitcoin ETFs have also recorded gradually increasing outflows over the past 4 weeks. JPMorgan's momentum indicators are also showing a similar trend where gold investors are cutting long positions, and they've been doing so since late February, while Bitcoin initially benefited from short covering before reversing in early May. Despite the cautious outlook, analysts are reiterating that the current weak market sentiment could ultimately prove a bullish contrarian signal going forward. Not financial advice. I still have to work for a living after being in crypto for 10 years. So clearly I'm not a investing god. I haven't made it. Don't rest your hat on everything I say. But that being said, the best time to buy things is when no one else wants to buy things, and the best time to sell things is when everyone else wants to buy it. And so, if you use that as your rule of thumb, one would say that this is a great time for a contrarian purchase. And that's why I think this article ends on a bullish contrarian signal moving forward. Moving on, Arbitrum went up in price, and I'm not here to shill the Arbitrum token. I'm here to see why it went up in price. LG Electronics is building a new blockchain using Arbitrum's L2 tech stack. They are building an advertising and media-related use case chain, which isn't LG's first foray into blockchains. They launched enterprise-focused Mana Chain through its IT services arm, LG CNS. And they also have Wallipto, a crypto wallet. They've also explored AI agentic payments. So they're not new to the world of blockchain and crypto. This is an interesting use case, though. I'm not going to lie. The chain that Arbitrum launched, or that LG launched, is Arbitrum based, and it doesn't have a name yet. It was built by LG's dedicated blockchain and research lab, and has already been piloted with an unnamed Japanese ad agency. The new Arbitrum-based network will serve as a platform for placing, buying, selling, and managing digital ads with the hopes that these on-chain transactions can make the industry more transparent and efficient. The chain will also keep a record of how customers have interacted with the advertisements and provide a shared ad inventory database for advertisers and publishers. Congratulations to the Arbitrum tech stack. Super cool to see an interesting use case by a large tech conglomerate out of APAC. And we'll see in the coming quarters what this kind of data shows and if it's applicable to this vertical. And lastly, I just have to say this again because SBF ruined the perception and perspective of the blockchain industry when FTX collapsed in 2022. The dude went to jail for fraud because he lied and stole investor funds to invest however the heck he wanted. And that is why he is in jail. Don't fall for the psyop where people say that because of his investments into, what was it? OpenAI, I want to say. Because of what he invested into in 2022, today a handful have done very well. In fact, he'd be up massively. Don't fall for that psyop because he used your funds to buy whatever the hell he wanted. Even if he was right, it doesn't matter that he lied and stole. And so he appealed this week to overturn his 25-year sentence, accusing the original court of not giving him a fair chance. In the order that came out today, a trio of judges disagreed with SBF's arguments that the customer investments were sound and that liquidity was there to make customers whole, as well as his criticism of the court for not being allowed to bring evidence. And this is what the appeals court said. Quote, "The overwhelming evidence presented at trial proved that Bankman-Fried knowingly and intentionally committed large-scale fraud on FTX's customers. While he was publicly reassuring customers, investors, and regulators that the FTX customer funds were safe, he was simultaneously using FTX as his own personal piggy bank, spending customer funds on real estate, political contributions, and investments." End quote. And therein lies the crux of it, SBF. You used people's funds the way you wanted to without letting them know. And that's the crime. The crime isn't that the things that you bought could have been liquidated and not only made your customers whole, but profitable. It doesn't matter, man. You stole, you lied, and you used things for how you wanted to. And that is what a criminal does. All right, folks, I am going to call today's Daily Digital Download early. It was a slow news week. It was a bearish week. At least we get to end the week on something positive with the SpaceX IPO. I'm just happy to see people making money in these markets. Hopefully, Bitcoin, your favorite blockchain projects, your favorite crypto tokens, hopefully we can get a little bit of love moving forward when liquidity stops going towards gold and stops going to these AI plays. And we are ready. The crypto and blockchain space is ready for some new investments, ready for some new blood to come into the space. But that being said, we're still trending towards the bottom of the bear market. We're still seeing cycle lows of investment from VC branches and firms into blockchain and crypto. So I am just going to go out on a limb and say that I don't think the pain is going to stop today and turn around overnight. But folks, I do believe that we are closer to the bottom of the crypto bear market of 2026 than we are further away from it. With all that said, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the smarteconomist.beehive.com, where we release a weekly newsletter to share what we talked about over the week, so you can get a little bit of alpha about what's going on in the blockchain and crypto space from somebody who's been here for 9 years and shares information with you in an objective, fact-based, non-sensational manner. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a beautiful weekend, and we will catch you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and peace.